Hello and welcome to a special holiday edition of Talkin Baseball, presented to you by SeatGeek. Jake Storielli, live from Mom's basement, just being real. The heat did go out last night. We saw 51 on the thermostat. There's dogs running around. There's babies running around, surrounded by stuffed animals in my mom's basement. Happy holidays, Trev. How are you doing?
I knew I recognized that basement. Yeah. Been there. I'm doing great. Look, it's holiday season. I celebrate all the holidays, which is nice for me. Kids have been great. We've had the dog. It's kept me up every single night. But surprisingly, I look actually pretty good on camera right now. I was worried about that. But we did have a plethora, a bukkake of signings, if you will. I told you that.
Oh.
Christmas is here. People want to be finished with the off season so they can celebrate with their loved ones. And I think that's kind of what we got here because, Pop, we almost have too much stuff to talk about on today's episode.
Dude, as we're recording, I'm expecting something else to sign. I mean, Christmas Eve, Joc Pederson just dropped, Sean Manaea, Walker Buehler. It's insane how much we got to cover. And like this goes back to last week's kind of first base frenzy. Goldschmidt, Naylor, Santana, Nathaniel Lowe. And, you know, a little behind the scenes, we're like, how do we break this down between pitchers and hitters? And that's kind of where we landed. So that's how we're going to chop it up. We're pretty basic cats. And yeah, Trev, I was going to say, I had a feeling when I saw by the window down here in this basement, I saw a signed T. Plouffe 24 on the wall. Felt a little unnecessary.
That's taking it too far.
Felt a little unnecessary. Let's get into the pitchers because, you know, it's going to get us both even more holiday frumpy with the amount of money they're bringing in. But if you want to see these guys pitching for your team, go to SeatGeek. Today's episode is sponsored by SeatGeek. 28 million downloads. SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. They have more than 70,000 events every single day. Sports, concerts, festivals, whatever you are looking for. And they've got two systems. They rate every ticket 1 to 10. Pretty standard system if you're familiar with that. 10, Trev, 1, Jake. Or if you're not as familiar with that, green, good, red, bad. So that's kind of tough around the holidays. But whatever it is, get code TALKIN10. You're going to save yourself 10% off any order. Whether it's seeing Joc down in Texas, Seawalk in Houston, Manaea in New York, 10% off your tickets at SeatGeek, whether you're a new customer or not. Code TALKIN10. Code TALKIN10 at SeatGeek. Trev, the pitchers, I mean, I didn't even mention baby Jesus Luzardo to the Phillies. I think we got to reverse engineer this with what's hottest in the streets because that's kind of what's going on. And the newest pitcher announcement is one that hits home for both of us. Walker Buehler to the Boston Red Sox, kid. The Red Sox are looking like they've got a little bit of a rotation, and who knows if they are done yet. 1 year, $21.05 million. Get that kicker in there, kid. And then there's supposed to be $2.5 million performance bonuses. And yeah, Walker Buehler, it seemed like he was going to do the 1 year because if he puts 1 year together, he's going to get one of those crazy pitcher contracts. I thought with how crazy the pitching market was, some team might just throw 4 or 5 years at him, and that could be tough to turn down because it's, you know, like you always mention, that life-changing money. He throws himself into the heart of the rivalry, which has me excited, Trev. What about you?
I mean, I whoever was going to get Walker was going to be happy about it because it wasn't going to require a long-term commitment. I think he does want to prove that he is the guy that we all kind of remember him as. You know, a healthy Walker Buehler can be a game changer, as we saw, you know, towards the end of the year and obviously in the postseason. So, you know, I thought the Mets had a good chance to get him, but we knew that the Red Sox were looking to add another starting pitcher. So this fits perfectly for them. I'm always saying, I'm going to say it till, you know, we're 80 years old on this show, Yuck and Ball. There's no such thing as a bad 1 year deal. So he slots right into that rotation. This is an offense that was one of the best offenses in baseball last year. We're making additions in the pitching staff, going out and getting Crochet and Buehler. We have this offense that showed up last year that's very athletic, can kind of, you can slug, we can steal bases, we can do all sorts of different things. This is turning into one of the more well-rounded teams in baseball. And you can talk about, kind of the depth they have now at the starting pitching position, the Red Sox. Crochet, Houck, Buehler, Bayo, Crawford. That's without Giolito and Patrick Sandoval, who they signed. What are they going to do with Garrett Whitlock? They have this depth now, which I believe is it's what you need for 162. And I just continue to be high on the Red Sox. They were poised to make moves. They've been doing that. I still think they have some room to go, whether that's via the free agency pool or whether that's in the trade market. I think they've done a really, really good job this offseason. And we talked about the AL kind of being wide open and there for the taking. And I believe they're seeing that. I love the moves, Jake. I do. I really do. 3 starting pitchers they brought in just this offseason. I think that any team, doesn't matter what your rotation looks like, you bring in, especially the guys they brought in. We're talking about an ace in Garrett Crochet, and then Walker Buehler, who has the potential to be, a top end starter. Like these are incredible moves.
Yeah, and I think to any fan base, whether it's coming from the Red Sox or not, the Red Sox conversation for the past couple of years has been bringing starting pitching.
Yeah.
Even when they got off to that great start last year, is because the starting pitching was electric, and we were kind of like, hey, maybe these Red Sox, okay, they brought in guys that they knew they were going to tap into, and okay, Red Sox, you got us. And then the second half happened, and the bullpen fell off pretty significantly. That you have to love it. I mean, the Moxie King, as Jimmy first coined him, and Walker Buehler. Going to the Boston Red Sox for 1 year. I mean, he's got no problem pitching against the Yankees. We saw that in October. And yeah, I mean, that's a guy I'll just never bet against. The Red Sox, you're right. They bring in impact starting pitchers. And I think the part of this that gets fun is like, okay, there's a Red Sox game plan for this year that the AL, we're sorting out. There was a question Chris Rose was going to ask you on Baseball Today. That's, it's Chris Rose holiday porn for baseball, but
Yes, it is.
It's also a sign of like the AL is wide open. The Yankees won the American League with missing half a lineup and not playing defense. So the National League is stacked right now. All those teams are so good that you have to love it for the Boston Red Sox. And I think where things get even more fun, like, okay, Red Sox, buckle up. You might have another move or two in you. I'd still love if they got a righty hitter to break up those lefties a little bit, and let's see if they've got anything up their sleeve. Even if they do that, it's interesting because the next couple years of Red Sox baseball, like you said, 1 year of Walker Buehler, Giolito is going to come off the books, that they're going to be poised next offseason to be in attack mode again, that like the Red Sox are back. The Red Sox are back, and that's, hey, I admit I'm a Yankees fan. I'd like seeing the Red Sox not have a good time. They like seeing Yankee fans not have a good time. They like that 5th inning. I didn't. But it's awesome, dude. When Yankees Red Sox is peak, that's as good as it gets.
Yeah, and I still have them adding a bat to an already potent lineup. And then you talk about all the additions they've made. We talked about Crochet, Sandoval, and Buehler. They also brought in Aroldis Chapman, and say what you want about the guy. I understand, like, he has command issues, but if they can get him locked in, ready to go, have him play for something, I think he kind of needs that. And then you bring him back Liam Hendricks. So the bullpen's already in better shape. Could I see them going out and bringing more to the bullpen as well? Yeah. But like even just the additions that they've made, I mean, it's been a flurry of moves for them that they're kind of hitting all the areas that they need to take that next step. So yeah, it's just, I've been on the Red Sox, still on the Red Sox. Like, I love kind of doing this now with these moves, as we get further along in the offseason. AL East, where do they sit? I mean, they're not too far behind the Yanks.
No.
Right?
No. I think, I guess I'd have to lay it out more. I think with the, Max Fried, Garrett Cole, like where the
I like the Yanks probably at the top, but
Yeah.
like Red Sox are not. They're nipping on the heels, like my puppy.
I would I mean, I think a really fun exercise would be Red Sox or Orioles right now,
Yeah.
and I think people would lean Red Sox, which I know we've been setting off that Orioles alarm here and there, but fellas, Corbin Burns and Santander gone, and what the Red Sox have added, I, I, there's no shame in that. I think the Red Sox have at least caught up.
So I'm reading right now, Sandoval, second half of
Yeah.
2025. Okay. That's when that's when you need the depth. This is great.
Good for the Red Sox. Let's see how they get involved with a righty hitter because their lineup does need that. And hey, if you're going to do all this work, you might as well seal the deal. And whether that's via trade, whether that's a Yoshida flip, whether that's something else, let's see what it means for Boston. Baltimore, you caught some shrapnel in this. So did my Yanks. But that means that the Boston Red Sox are back, kid. Let's keep rolling, coach, because like we said, we got hit with a flurry as of this morning. You never know when the cold stove is going to hit. But like Coach Trev told everyone, you want to get that contract done before the holidays. It's a party, dude.
Yeah, you start buying presents. You're like, how much does that cost?
Ooh.
What's going on? I don't have a contract yet. Yeah, you start to say, I want to be home. I want to go on my vacation with that check signed. So yeah, I do firmly believe that, especially for pitchers. You know, we've talked about this before a little bit. You want to have as normal of an off season as you can, and this helps. If you sign early, it helps out with that.
Well, and it helps out the New York Mets and Sean Manaea, who we thought would be one of the most popular attractive pitchers on the market with his kind of past of getting it done, but with him retooling himself, changing his arm slot, and breaking out last year. He gets 3 years, $75 million, $25 million a year to return back to Trevor's Flushings. Man, there was a lot of rumors on where Manaea could go. Is San Francisco going to round out their rotation? Like, is Manaea sneaky good for any team? Because if you're one of the big boys and you can put Manaea second or third in your rotation, you're happy with that. If you're one of the smaller market teams and you think Manaea could be that kind of top guy for you, we could talk ourselves into it. He returns to New York. Pretty cool because he had some quotes that were like, I do want to be here. He also wants to get paid, and the Mets have to, hey, that Soto move wasn't the end. That was the start.
Love this for all parties involved. When you have a free agent that actually wants to come back and is not just saying that, you know, at the end of the season because, yeah, of course I want this team in on me. You know, he enjoyed his time there. He found immense success last year in the second half after dropping his arm angle down. It makes sense to go back to where you're familiar, but you know, when you have success, you want to continue that. And you feel like you have a routine there, you have a program there, you trust the coaches there. And for Manaea, you know, he's been in a couple of different organizations now. Like this, he wants to plant some roots here. And again, like, why wouldn't you want to go back to where, number one, you almost made it to the freaking World Series. Number two, you had your best ever pitching performance. What was that? At the end of the All-Star break, we have his numbers right here. Since the start of July to the end of the regular season, 7-3, 17 games started to a 3.16 and a .93 whip. He was pitching like an ace, Jake. Like he was pitching like a top of the rotation guy. So this makes all the sense in the world. I love this deal. Look, Manaea, now you're over the 100 mil club. Congratulations. Far over the 100 mil club. Like you are rocking and rolling. But I love this deal for the Mets as well. I mean, this is 3 years, 75 for a guy that I feel like you know is going to give you innings. You know he's not going to like. He just feels stable to me. Sean Manaea to me feels like a stable starting pitcher, especially when you factor in kind of what he found there at the end of the year with the mechanics. You know him. You know the kind of guy he is in the clubhouse. I think this is about as easy of a signing as the Mets will ever have. You know, 3 years, 25 a year, sign on the dotted line, boom. This is, and I'm not like I don't want, this is a dream signing for the Mets. It really is. A guy that, like I said, you know, who's had success with you, who wants to be there. You need starting pitching. This is perfect for them.
A dream. Wow, Trev.
It really is. I think Sean Manaea, I promise you, man, We saw at the end of last year. He's going to take that. Is he going to pitch to a 3.16 with a .93 whip all year next year? I don't know, man. He could. He could. And $25 million, let me let you in on a little secret. That's not that much for a starting pitcher these days.
Right.
Like you have a potential to have a top of the rotation guy, 3 years, not that long of a commitment, $25 million AAV, not that big of a commitment to a starting pitcher. Like, this is perfect for them.
Yeah, and Manaea's a guy, like, he came up, he had a lot of success with Oakland, and then he had some ups and downs that this guy has had to make adjustments along the way, and this most recent adjustment has a lot of upside to it. So even in his bad years, like, Manaea's thrown innings. Sure, the ERA hasn't landed where you wanted, but he's also bounced back. So to have that in the rotation, and for me, it's like, okay, this was one of the ones that I think if everyone had to place money before the offseason, like Manaea and the Mets seemed like it was going to happen. You just wondered what other teams were going to get involved for everything I said about Manaea's value. I think the next question for me is where are the Mets going to go? Because, Alonso's still out there. The Mets have an interesting rotation. They're currently listing it as Manaea, Senga, Pederson, Montas, Clay Holmes. And that's with Blackburn, McGill, and they signed Griffin Canning for depth. So I'm just truly interested to see for the Mets, because one of the theories I have brewing is like Stearns brought the Brewers pitching factory with him. Is that, do they think with that depth of MLB pitchers, they think that's where their rotation needs to be? Because that's kind of what Milwaukee has done. I mean, this is actually a boosted Milwaukee. That are they going to go back to the lineup and bring back Pete or do something else? Or do they think that rotation needs something more bona fide up top? Because, like we said with Manaea, he hasn't been the classic ace through the years. Or Kodai Senga's coming off injury. Clay Holmes has been a reliever. So I'm interested to see where they go next.
I'm stealing this from Jolly because it makes a ton of sense. Last year, going into the season, Severino, Manaea, who's the other guy I'm missing?
Quintana.
Like, nobody was
true
championing this rotation, and they had a great year. So whether that is the Brewers to the Mets pitching factory, whatever it is, I think they see guys here that have plus stuff, and they feel like they can fix them. And that's what the good organizations do, Jake.
Yeah.
They're able to find, diamonds in the rough, if you will. And where we should be looking for the next Mets starting pitcher.
Okay.
Korea. Who's in Korea right now balling out? Somebody's going to come back to the States. They're going to start with the Mets. That's what Stearns, he knows where to look, man.
Yeah. And just a reminder for people, Tobias Myers last year was on the White Sox scrap heap. Yeah. The Brewers picked him up. He had a 3 flat ERA over a full season. So this is where the good teams can currently take advantage. And I think the Mets are taking that route.
They also developed Josh Hader and Devin Williams. Yeah.
Good.
Pretty dang good. Through their system.
Stop bringing up all these Yankees studs, Trev. Yeah, I'm currently leaning into my theory a little more. I think Stearns, they can tap into some of these, I don't want to say middle tier pitchers, but Montas, Clay Holmes coming from the bullpen, and they think they're going to be able to tap into stuff with a little bit of a financial investment. That I think I think Pete's going to come back. I really do. Especially with the rest of how the first base carousel has gone, that I think they're willing to invest in the hitting. I mean, I know Soto's obviously the big one, but like, look at Lindor, look at Nimmo. Like there's that they already are paying a little bit over there. I think they're going to pay a little more with their young guys. And yeah, the Mets excitement, obviously with Soto, was always going to be there. But this was good, man. There's some morale tied to this, along with the pitching upside.
I'm looking now. I'm not a prospect guy. Everybody knows that. They got a guy named Brandon Sproat. Was in AAA last year. He's the number one prospect. He's 24 years old, so he's there.
Sure.
Drew Gilbert. What are you, Drew Gilbert?
Yep.
No, you're an outfielder, so you're not starting. So look, there might be other people they have in mind, as depth pieces or guys that they think are going to come up and contribute. Again, I'm never going to talk about prospects on this show. Sorry, that's for a different show.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me though if the Mets kind of kept going. You mentioned Pete. I could definitely see that. Alex Bregman would be pretty fun.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Move Vientos over to first base, put Bregman at third base. Like, I kind of like it.
It's interesting. That I feel like that Bregman Alonso secondary market is going to pick up. Hey, maybe they get it done before Christmas, and we're going, gosh darn it, because we're celebrating with our families and not in front of the damn microphones. Trev, we got one more pitcher that we really need to get into, and it's a trade for prospects. So if you're looking for the scouting report on our guys,
speed and athleticism,
Starlin, Caba, and Amarion Boyd, we've got notes, but we know a little more about Jesus Luzardo as he's going in division Marlins to Phillies. He's been rumored to be traded for about 2 years. He's been traded before. He goes to the Phillies. The Phillies reinvest in their pitching, and you want to talk rotations. My God, the Phillies have a chance to roll something really special out there coming off a year where they had something really special. And speaking of, today's episode is sponsored by Hims. Guys, if you ever feel like you need a little boost in the bedroom, or maybe you're trapped at your parents' house over the holidays and need a little huzzah, Hims, so you can feel confident knowing you're going to get it up and keep it up whenever you're in the mood. Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. The process is 100% online. No need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/talkin. That's Hims, HIMS.com/talkin for your personal ED treatment options. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products, which are not approved or verified for safety and effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Prices vary based on product and subscription plans. Trev, Luzardo, to your Phillies.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the rotation. We know how deep that rotation is and how stable it is, especially when you factor in that, Chris Sanchez has kind of developed into someone that you can really count on there. This is an interesting move to me. And I think, we can talk about Luzardo and, he struggled last year with the Marlins. The velo was down on almost all of his pitches, over a mile an hour. Maybe they think they can fix something mechanically there. He has an extra year of control. What I think this does for them, they're banking on the upside of Luzardo, a guy that I feel like even we knew as a prospect. He was one of those guys that, you heard about, coming up and he gets to the big leagues and has some success. Again, we mentioned last year was a down year for him, but I think this starts like kind of a flurry of moves for them. They're sitting right at the top of that tax threshold where now they're going to be starting to get taxed at the 110% on every dollar that they spend. Plus, they might have to move a draft pick back 10 spots if they continue to have this payroll. So I think this move signifies they've been trying to trade Taijuan Walker, trying to get some of that money off of the books. I think with this added rotation depth and him slotting into like that fifth spot, it kind of intensifies the urgency to do that. I'm curious to what this means for Ranger Suarez. I know it's his walk year. Does that push him into trade conversations as well? Does it afford them the ability to maybe not have him start all the time? Is he gonna go back and forth between the pen and the rotation? Like, there's just a lot of things you can do adding Luzardo to the rotation. So I'm curious. I didn't have them really adding. I guess I did a fifth starter. I guess I feel like Luzardo's could be a little bit more than that. So now it's just got my mind spinning on what's next for the Phillies. Like, what are they going to do? Because they added Kepler. He's going to play everyday left field for them. The lineup seems pretty much set. I know they've been talking about Alec Bohm and some trade rumors, seeing what they can do there. Are they a team that's going to add Bregman? That would be crazy. But I always talk about the Phillies in the light of they have one of the most complete rosters in baseball. From the pen to the starting rotation to the lineup, they're just kind of set. But this move to me, I think, signifies they got a little retooling to do. Not retooling, that's not the right word. Just a little messing around with the roster, bringing in Luzardo like this. Dombrowski's thinking about things right now for sure.
Right? It's how much does Dombrowski want to dance? Because if they want to, teams would want Alec Bohm, whether for third base or first base, and there's been rumors around that. Taijuan Walker, yeah, it would be a little bit of a salary dump, so it'd be interesting to see how teams or the Phillies would want to approach that. And it's just, again, how much work do they want to go through, and how much does it actually change the final product? Because this was originally a Bregman rumored team, and some of the quotes out of Phillies camp have been interesting. Like Dombrowski came out before the offseason and was like, "I was going to dance." Then there was some quotes because Roki wouldn't meet with them that they were kind of pissy, and we've seen them. They were in on Yamamoto, and when that kind of didn't happen, they were just like, "Okay." Like we thought it'd be cool to add him and we liked him, but we also love our team. So that's the Phillies are in this interesting spot where they're clearly stacked. Like they're on a different level than most MLB teams. And man, when you look at that rotation, like there's been times when everyone in that rotation has pitched like a 1. Nola, Wheeler, Suarez was the best starter in the NL for the first half last year. And then clearly some injuries and wear and tear. Luzardo was like the second best lefty to Snell in 23. That this rotation has such high upside, coming off a year where they were second in quality starts and fourth in starting pitching innings pitched, which the ripple effect that has on the team and the bullpen. Very interested to see their next moves because I don't know where they're going. I don't know if the Bohm trade is out there and is Taijuan Walker involved in that. Because they could be done, and we'd say, hey, the Phillies are going to be great, but it doesn't feel like they are.
No, because essentially they've had around the same roster for a couple of years, give and take a few bullpen pieces, and it hasn't been enough. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I feel like Dombrowski's like been here, done this with the Tigers, where we thought we had the team, didn't win at all. Does he doesn't want to make that. It's not his mistake, but he doesn't want to go through that again with the Phillies. I mean, you sign all these guys, you have this roster, everyone expects you to bring home a championship. Hasn't come to fruition yet. I think Dombrowski is still going to swing for the fences. Like if he doesn't go out and get a Bregman or somebody like that, via trade or free agency, like another big dog, and I'm guessing it would be in the lineup, I think.
Well, that's the thing. It has to be an upgrade because all of their positions are good.
They're good. I know they're good.
Like Brandon Marsh has been good. Alec Bohm has been good. Bryson Stott has been good. That to the other guys, it's almost not worth mentioning because to upgrade from them, you're talking about like top 5 players. Like you're not Bryson, Trey, and Schwarber. Like there aren't upgrades there.
No,
like,
those are your guys. Those are your guys.
They're guys. Catchers like don't exist, so you roll Real Muto out there. And the rotation we just said, like you can't upgrade those guys. So it's are you willing to basically move Bohm and go get a Bregman? And does that money off of Taijuan Walker clear that up? And does that change your team's identity enough? In a way, it does because you're going defense and you add Bregman to that room of alphas. My God, that's like your dream locker room.
It is my locker room. You're right.
I didn't say that.
Okay, let's just think about this real quick.
Sure.
Dave Dombrowski, we know what he likes to do. Alec Bohm, traded. I like him there, though, but traded. Bregman in, upgrade. Bryson Stott, been good for them. Been a hero in the playoffs.
Very good.
Not that great last year.
Yeah. Second half, didn't he come on? Either way.
So can we find an upgrade at second base, push Bryson back to a more utility-based role?
I mean, I think...
is there somebody out there? I'm trying to rack my head. Like, who's a second baseman that could outplay Bryson Stott right now that's kind of like available?
Like, to say they're going to outplay Bryson Stott, there's not like a ton of guys because
like Gleyber Torres?
I can't tell you he's going to outplay Bryson.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
I almost say I can almost guarantee a Stott will outplay him. You're right. It's going to be something like we can't even dream of. Like, would they move on from Castellanos? Would they move on from Stott? And like the Snakes are willing to totally rebrand and move a Ketel Marte or something. Hey,
Don't.
I'm not. I'm not. I'm just saying Dombrowski's either there or I think what you might have stumbled into, Trev, like the Phillies haven't been afraid to roll in with a platoon or kind of an extra piece. Like, what if they brought in Luis Robert and they were like, hey,
I mean, we've
Marsh,
been dreaming about that.
Kepler Marsh, like we're going to, someone's going to get hurt at some point. Playing time's going to show up. But we're the Phillies. We're here to win. I don't know. They could also just be done and we're just daydreaming.
Trey Turner,
Okay.
Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, all in the shower together after a game. All right? It happens, people. I'm not saying anything that doesn't happen. Max Kepler walks in. Changes the whole dynamic. Like, they're going to have to get used to that guy walking around the clubhouse, is all I'm saying.
Trev, I mean,
that's all I'm saying. Get used to it, guys.
Alec Bohm, Taiwan Skywalker for Carlos Correa. Your Twins trying to get off some money.
I have a Twins hat on today, dude.
It's huge. Trev, I'll be honest. I think the pitching with the holidays are wearing on us. Can we get to the Twigs?
Let's go.
Because that's where our bread is just buttered. And everyone, the first base carousel, I mean, this was out of a video game, man. Christian Walker signs with the Astros. Goldie goes to the Yanks. The D-backs, they trade for Josh Naylor. The Guardians signed Carlos Santana. Welcome home. Nathaniel Lowe, early settler name, is who the Nats get for their first base position. And then you can mix in Joc Pederson for the Rangers DH position to fill that in with Jake Berger that we barely mentioned. Are they the best lineup in the American League? Go listen to Baseball Today with Chris Rose and Trevor Plouffe to hear about that. Why don't we go to Houston? Because Christian Walker kind of set this thing off because he was rumored with every team. Is he going to get the fourth year? He doesn't. 3 for 60, 20 on the nose. Not bad for, a Rule 5 guy who's hitting free agency at 34. This doesn't just happen. This isn't just for every guy. Rachel, Ross, friends, happy holidays. Christian Walker to Houston, Trev, and that kind of, they're still set up for more, but now it's Isak and Christian Walker. They have room in the outfield. I'm a little nervous about Walker's age, and I said that with the Yankees rumors, but he has been one of the best two-way first basemen in ball.
The age thing to me, look, obviously Father Time's undefeated. I get it, but has he shown signs of slowing down?
No.
He hasn't. I love this move for the Astros, and I'm looking at this lineup now. And before I was like, okay, guys, like, is this like the beginning of that decline that everyone's anticipating that never comes? And you put Walker in the lineup, and now I'm looking like this looks like a freaking Houston Astros lineup again, dude. It does. Now, do I want Bregman still there? Yeah, I wanted Bregman to resign, but Paredes at third, and then who's going to be
Walker at first, and then Jordan's the assumed DH.
Yeah, so Paredes at third is going to give you less than Bregman, in my opinion. He might have a big year, you never know, but I'm just I would say Bregman's above him. Okay, that's fair to say. They haven't had anybody contribute at first base in this capacity in a couple years. Christian Walker comes in. Not only is he a guy that, can bang the ball around the yard, he also pulls the ball, which is great for that field. But dude, like defensively, I think, we mentioned he's a good defender. No, he's like the best defender at first base. And that means something. So again, as much as we want to continue to talk about the Astros and, oh man, like they just get rid of these guys and eventually they're going to have to go down. It's like, go look at the starting rotation, go look at the back end of the bullpen. And then this lineup, you start to look at it, you got to squint a little bit. You got to squint at it. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, shoot. Okay, now I see it. And yeah, AL West, where do the Astros rank right now? Like, they're in the conversation for number one.
They're in the convo. Hunter Brown, I had to go double check his stats, like where his numbers landed on the year. If he's got more, watch out. We know Arrighetti was breaking out last year. Ronel Blanco did it the whole year. Framber's still there. They're going to pitch like Houston's done that. The first base defense, Trev, I hadn't had this light bulb go off, but dude, like I think we underappreciated what Yuli Gurriel was over there. Like Yuli
Yeah.
was a guy that the whole thing was like he could play shortstop. He's 47 years old now, so he's going to play really good first base and win batting titles. Trev, I'll tell you what, if you like the lineup now, I think they've got another move coming. I've been looking for the Santander landing area.
Yeah.
Boom. Stick him in left field. You've got a switch hitter. It's a smaller left field. Him and Jordan can do the DH left field.
Swapsies?
What's that?
Swapsies, a little bit.
Swapsies. Jordan and Brantley used to do that, kind of like you need a day, I need a day. And I think if you do that, then Houston has entered. They're probably the favorites for the West. Because I know they like those guys in the outfield. Although, remember that time Dusty came out and was like, Chas McCormick is not a guy for us. Like, okay, easy, Dust. If they add one more, it's like, okay, Houston's back. And I think where Santander's price tag is going to land, I think that's a sweet spot for him. It's a stadium that works for him. Because I don't know. I was also thinking maybe Joc, but as we just found out, he's going to Texas.
Yeah, so I mean, look, if you lose Bregman and Tucker, it's very, very hard to fill those two voids. And I think that's why a lot of people are like, dude, what are the Astros going to do? Bregman, Tucker out, in Paredes, Walker, and if you put Santander out there, I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but like it's close enough. It's close enough.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's just a different way to slice it up.
Golly.
Yeah. Hey, Christian Walker, good for him getting the payday. Hopefully he gets off to a good start in those first couple months because this contract is eerily similar financially to the Jose Abreu. Again, Jose Abreu had a couple more años on him, Spanish for years. You're welcome. That, again, feels a little different. It's a good fit for C-Walk, and it really set up the rest of the first base market, Trev. And the one I'll let you talk about, because I talked about it a lot on Talkin' Yanks, Paul Goldschmidt to my Yankees. Kind of one of the things that was starting to look rumored. The Yankees love adding someone with hardware to say they were a part of that fabric. And, there's a little bit of upside and fit here that could go down as a great 1 year with the Yankees, or the risk with 1 year in baseball. Like you said, there's no bad contracts, but it can be like, hey, remember that Goldschmidt year? But what do you think?
Okay. Paul Goldschmidt. I think maybe, I don't want to say I'm a little bit too close to the situation, but I've just been a huge fan of Goldschmidt's forever. And how could you not be? I mean, watch the guy play. You hear about his work ethic, defensively. How many Gold Gloves? 4 Gold Gloves, 5 Silver Sluggers. Like, this guy is he a HOF guy? I mean, I don't
surround it
in front of him, right? Like, he's been doing it for so long that he's a stud. Now, here's the thing. Started to age a little bit. Felt like his swing velocity was down a little bit. So, in the offseason before last year, he went to Driveline and did some swing velo training. That's what you call it, right? Swing velo?
Sure.
I don't know. Whatever. Bat speed.
Yeah.
I'm a ball player.
Yeah.
I know that. By the way, I played shortstop for a couple innings at my alumni game. Even with the banged up ankle, made some plays. No big deal.
You said you weren't going to play. You said you were.
Yeah, I got out there when the juice is flowing. They got some ball players on that team. Anyways, back to Goldschmidt. So he goes to Driveline, tries to increase his bat speed, swing velocity, whatever. And I've done that. At the end of your career, I'm not saying he's at the end of his career, but he's in the twilight of it. You start to say, okay, well, now I got to make some adjustments. That's what good players do. You have to go make adjustments. You went and did that. Sometimes they don't take, man, or sometimes it takes a while for them to take, or sometimes you find one thing that works and then you go a little bit too far and then you're out of whack. First half splits, second half splits for Gold. You kind of tell that story. You go into the season with some new thoughts, a new routine. and it just didn't work for him. Now, in the second half, did he bang some of those drills, or did he change his routine up? I don't know, but it sure seems like he got better. That's the kind of guy I think that you probably are going to expect in New York. A guy that says, you know what, I'm happy I went and did that at Driveline, so I learned some things. But I also have to remember who I am as a ball player, and so you kind of you meld the two. You can't, like, it's really hard just to change everything up, and even though you want to, and in your mind you're saying this is the right thing to do, sometimes it's just, man, how many swings has this guy taken? His routine has been the same for so long. He's had success with it. I think we'll see Goldie kind of feel comfortable there in New York. Doesn't have to be, the superstar. Just go out there and kind of be yourself. I'm expecting at the very least, Jake, a bounce back year for Paul Goldschmidt. I love the signing for the Yanks. I do.
Yeah, I think everything you mentioned, he would have snagged a couple more home runs in Yankee Stadium. Not all short porch too, like that. I didn't realize left field in St. Louis, there's some spots there that you do not want to hit the ball. And he hit lefties last year. So if you're Paul Goldschmidt, like, sure, you're in the second half of your career and maybe the second half of your second half, but you hit lefties last year and you finished last season strong. That even if you have a couple tough months to start, you know that you did it last year. Like, that I like that for him. I hope they don't play him like every day. He played a 154 last year, I think. Like, we don't need to do that.
I thought that'd be like music to a Yankees fan's ears, man.
So
The guy has played in 145 plus games in every full season of his career, except for 2014. So we're talking, this is a guy that stays on the field.
It is Trev, and he's probably going to be forced to. But I'm just saying, if you can mix in some double days off, or if there's a tough righty, give Ben Rice an at batter as well.
Sure.
Like,
Yes.
I think you can just keep him a little fresher. And, coming from a guy now 35, I know I would personally like that. And all the leadership stuff, all the boring stuff. Him and Judge have a connection that they talked one off season and that kind of thing. And man, Trev, you like that Phillies locker room? There's a lot of guys with hardware in this Yankees locker room now. That again, they've added 2 former MVPs, in Belly and Goldschmidt. Are they at that point in their careers? Doubtful. But the respect that demands, you don't just win an MVP. You are the best player in a league that's insane. That the Yankees, they had a plan after Soto. They're executing it. It is what's next. And if you want to hear more about that, go check out Talkin Yanks. Fun reaction episode. John Boy, Joe's McFly, Trev's guy. Trev, let's round out first base. Naylor, Santana, and Lowe. My God. And I mean, Joc's kind of tied in. And it's all brought to you by Corona. Today's episode is sponsored by Corona. You know what I always try to be? A fan that never loses. Some guy wants to go to Queens, we'll find someone else for the Bronx. And when my team doesn't win, even when they lose, you're still loving the game, because whether it's a homer, a touchdown, a dunk, there's always something to cheer for. And the best beer to pair with awesome moments is Corona. Corona is all about finding the maximum amount of joy within every moment of the game. Win or lose, home or road, the perfect beer for watching baseball and all the moments that come with it. So cheers to everyone who loves the game beyond the scoreboard. Corona, for the fans who never lose. Get yours at ordercorona.com. 21 plus. Relax responsibly. Corona Extra Beer, imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois. Trev, why don't we, per usual, holiday flashbacks, why don't we tag team this? Because Naylor getting traded to the Snakes opens up Carlos Santana to the Guard Dogs. So would you rather Naylor or Santana?
Oh, my God. Let's go Santana.
Okay.
I got my Twins hat on. Twins are sad. They haven't done anything.
Ooh.
It's sad boy time. I'm deciding if I'm going to Twins Fest or not. It's looking like a no this year. I have some prior engagements. I'm trying to make it work, people.
Trev, you need to be the viral clip from Twins Fest. It's like, this ownership needs to invest in these fans, and the crowd just goes nuts.
They're like, which ownership? They're trying to
Yeah,
sell the
right?
team right now. Am I getting close to the new owners? I don't know. All right. So Santana, let me
Yeah.
tell you this, Guardians fans, you already know this guy, obviously, but what I saw from him last year was it was pretty special, to be honest with you, man. A guy again. He's what is he? Is he 39? But he pushing 40.
Yeah.
Okay, and he still goes out there and gives you max effort every single freaking day. Talk about routine oriented, a guy that you want in the clubhouse, um, an extra hitting coach, if you
Yeah.
will, especially to the Latin players in the clubhouse. I mean, they would rally around this guy, talk hitting. Um, he's not afraid to say what needs to be said in a locker room. And oh yeah, like he's gonna put up a great at bat for you. He started out so slow last year, man, so slow, and he really, really came on for the Twins. Switch hitter, won his first Gold Glove. That's crazy.
Great.
But he puts the work in. He's out there doing it every day, man, and he's gonna hold guys accountable. Guardians fans kind of already know that, but I think he's taken on more of this leadership role as he's gotten older. I got nothing but great things to say about him, man. Like I'd go down to the cage and he would just let's talk ball, man. And we would just talk about the pitcher. We talk about his approach, what he was going to do today. And he was very good about like setting the approach. And then I would go up and call the games. And sure as shit, we'd see his approach during the game. So like he's a ball player, man. I love this for the Guardians. It's different than Josh Naylor. I'd say that. You're getting a guy that's can play defense out there, that's going to give you really solid at bats, going to take his walks and do all these things. It's a different type of ball player than Josh Naylor. So I'll kind of let you talk about your snakes and him, but for the Guardians getting Santana, I'm happy for you guys. I'm interested to see like the Luzardo thing and kind of how that all shakes out because we thought he might get a run there. Maybe they'll split time.
The
Going
DH the
DH
DH
first
spot's
base. Yeah.
open. And hey,
DH first base for him. Why would you take a Gold Glover off the field? I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
yeah, you want to rest the coming up on 40-year-old man. Manzardo snagged the glove today, but I also like, hey, Manzardo, you're hitting this year. We believe in you.
Yeah.
Go out and hit. And Trev, another little, Joe's McFly was looking at the Yankees roster and saying they needed a little spice, for lack of a better term.
Okay.
Because we
You
kind
mean
of
Latinos? Our brothers?
The Yankees are low on Latin guys right now.
Don't like that for them.
You know what I like? Switch hitter Brian Rocchio showing up to work every day with Jose Ramirez and Carlos Santana. I like that. And they play defense at every position. Like it's the run prevention thing. Some teams haven't figured that out, and Cleveland clearly has. And that's part of the reason they were allowed to trade Josh Naylor to my Arizona Diamondbacks, which I loved. I loved for the Snakes because Josh Naylor, he plays with intensity. He plays with his hair on fire. That if he went to kind of one of the stiff organizations, including my Yankees, I think, sorry, Cardinals fans, I'll throw you in the mix. Like Josh Naylor with the Snakes and some of those uniforms and the hair flowing, they are going to love him. And for me,
Look out
I'm in.
Old Town. Oh, geez.
What's that?
So look out Old Town in Scottsdale.
Oh God. Whew. No one is safe. Dress code is sexy. Um, Josh Naylor, I kind of like him because there's still some first base moves to be had. I wonder if Josh Naylor can be their Joc replacement and slide into that DH slot with the ability to play first. Because there's something that smells wrong to me about going from Christian Walker, who's been the best defensive first baseman in the league for the past however many years, to going to Josh Naylor at first base, who he puts an effort over there, but it's not his strength. That I think they're going to see where the rest of these first basemen go. But I mean, you're locking in a young player with 2 years of control, who set his record in home runs last year. That I really like the fit, and I think the Snakes are going to put him in an opportunity to be successful in a good hitting park.
I thought he was a free agent at the end of the year. Okay, that's interesting. Is there any platoon stuff that's going to happen? I know he's not great against lefties, so maybe they're thinking that as well. Okay. The move makes more sense now that I know that he has another year of control.
Oh, I
thought he
might
was
have
a
had
free
that
agent.
wrong. I might
No,
have.
you're right.
might
You're
have
right. You're
been-
right.
Oh, I'm good.
Oh, wait. What year is it?
I don't know, dude. It's kind of 25, but it's not.
Okay. So it is last year. It's the last
My
year of
bad.
his deal. So he's ARB eligible this year, free agent 2026. It's an interesting move to me. Like you mentioned, you're going from Christian Walker to a guy that's probably a little bit less stable, I would say. Obviously, lives for a big moments and can be that guy for you. I mean, it's a curious move for me.
Okay.
Because there's other guys still available out there on the first base market. This is the best offensive team in baseball last year. People
Right.
forget about that. And I think you're probably taking a little bit of a step back from Christian Walker to Josh Allen, but not too much offensively, at least.
Hey, here's what I'll say. Right now they have Pavin Smith slotted into the DH spot, which again, he's had every now and then he has 3 weeks where he's like the best player in baseball, and that's kind of keeps him around the D-backs. But I don't know what you can bank on. I think the Diamondbacks, I think they're going to be smart about this and look for another hitter. I mean, they lost Christian Walker and Joc Pederson, and I wonder, is Yandy Diaz a fit over there? And you can have big Yandy and Josh Naylor as your first base DH platoon. Like, these D-backs ended up first in runs last year. There should be a Jordan Montgomery trade coming at some point, only because the owner pooped him out after the season. I've been playing with my nephew, and he keeps turning his butt to me, and he goes, "I pooped you out." So I might start adding that to my pitch mix. But yeah, I like it as the first move for the D-backs because they'd been silent before this. And Ciccone, I mean, hey, trading any pitcher to Cleveland makes you a little nervous, but it doesn't hurt him too much there, and it has some high-end potential.
So do you think this is more of a replacement for Joc than Christian Walker?
I think so, but I don't know how the
so
rest
if
of it plays
if you put it that way, then the move makes more sense to me.
right? Like, and I just think,
Yeah.
again, Christian Walker led every leaderboard defensively that Arizona clearly values that to go to Naylor, you'd be losing a lot. That if you're replacing Joc, you're kind of, Joc has been killing it for years, but Naylor could be entering his Joc Pederson era, if you will. You like that?
Okay. Naylor is the new Joc Pederson. You heard it here first. Just
It's
a
kinda
mercenary that just bangs on righties, little thick boy. Okay. Now we're making sense.
Don't look me in the eyes when you say
who,
little thick boy.
who else is out there? Well, obviously Pete Alonso's out there. I don't
Sure.
know if that's a D-backs move.
If you dump Monty, you got money for it.
Is Justin Turner
Oh,
a diamond?
oh.
Mark Canna, can he? Okay, curious. D-backs. Let's see what your next move is.
I think they've got another move that will end up. And again, I'm a little biased. Someone replied to one of my tweets, Jake, why do you like the D-backs? I said they like me. So that's all it needs. Just a little slutty.
Corey Lavello's back there, just like, let me see what we have here. Does he do that? No, he's a ball player.
He's a ball player.
Yeah.
Hey, you mentioned Joc. I think we got to finish with our Texas Rangers and our Washington Nationals.
Yes.
Nathaniel Lowe, who was rumored to be traded this offseason, and the Nationals, who were rumored to go get a first baseman, go get him. And the Rangers finish off that move by bringing in Joc Pederson, which I absolutely love. This guy just mashes right-handed hitting, which you're going to see 85% of the games. 2 years, 37 with the first year opt out for Joc. We love that for him. And Nathaniel Lowe got traded for Robert Garcia, the lefty reliever. So the Rangers. So I guess, do you like this circle for the Rangers? Jake Berger and Joc in while Nathaniel Lowe out.
Yeah, I think once they got Jake Berger, it kind of signified they were going to do something in that position. So yeah, if you're talking about those two guys, kind of righty lefty mashing, I'm into it. I like Nathaniel Lowe as a player though.
Yes.
I really do. So I kind of look. Joc's going to do his thing. He's going to go there. He's going to hit some bombs. Now I do like the Rangers lineup a ton. Obviously, it was just a shit year for the Rangers last year. It was horrible. But up and down that lineup, they have guys that can absolutely rake. Like this can be one of the best offenses in the American League. Go, you don't believe me? Go look at it.
Right.
It can be there. I know there's a sour taste. They won the World Series. How did they win that World Series? How did they get through the playoffs?
Hitting.
They banged, bro. They banged. They had like one reliever. It was Leclerc, and that was it. And they figured the pitching out, and they just banged. They just out hit you. So they have that in them. So I think I like it for the Rangers. Joc's going to do what Joc does. We know what Berger can do as well. For the Nationals getting low, I think it's. I mean, is it a springboard for them to kind of see how their season starts and then maybe add during the season? We talk about the Nationals kind of like being that team that's like up and coming, like they need to make these moves to kind of go to the next level. Is this the start of that? Maybe. So they're not huge moves, but I think they both, like for the Rangers, I think they do really feel like last year was just crap and like they're just gonna wash their hands and just go forward kind of what they have. Maybe Joc brings some more of that fire that they like had in that postseason in 2023. But for the Nationals, I could see this as being like the first step into like, okay, let's go. It's time to go.
Joc and Bochy at Whataburger after the game. Yeah. Hey, man, speaking of righty pitchers, hey, here's Seager and Joc. Enjoy that. A couple times through. And then, so at first I didn't love the low fit on the Nationals. And, they've been rumored for Pete. And I guess for me, it was one of those like, hey, if you sign Pete and he gives you a 45 homer season, where are we, Nationals? But also, if the Pete signing goes south, now you might have a bad contract on your hands. That this gives them a little bit of flexibilities. It's not a chips all in. And like you said, if things go for the Nats next year and they need to add elsewhere, they can do that easier. Or, and I know this is where their brains want to jump, but let's say the Nationals are outgunned by the Braves, the Mets, the Phillies. Nathaniel Lowe can then be a nice trade piece for you that you can get some assets back. And then you can put that chips all in move somewhere else when you know how your young guys have panned out. So at first I wasn't in love with it because I was just like, in the nicest way to Nathaniel Lowe, I don't know what he does for the Nats' complete season outlook, but at the same time, it leaves them the flexibility for when they know they can do that.
Yeah, he's got 2 years of control. So this year, if they decide, hey, like he's pretty valuable, maybe we flip him, or let's keep him next year as maybe 2026 is our year. Like like you said, there's flexibility there.
And I guess in my head, Nathaniel Lowe is the perfect add to a contending team because you just know you're going to get solid play. I think he's like a 120 OPS plus the last 3 years, like lefty bat, hits both sides. That
he's right in the middle of their lineup, like right in the middle.
Right. And that's, again, maybe the Nats just needed a little bit of, you're our first baseman for 1 year, 2 years, and we don't have to put in 125 mil for Pete or wherever that number is going to land. So I've liked it a little more, although initially I thought he'd be like a close the loop piece for Houston or for the Yankees or something like that. But instead, hey, the Nats, you got one less thing to think about. The financial risk wasn't there, and you had to give up a lefty reliever to do it. So I do like that.
And you get the draft, Ethan Holiday, number 1 overall. That's
right. Point. The winners of the offseason, the Nationals, continues.
One of they are.
Trev, that was a lot of ball. I do want to kick it to you for a little bit, and it's one of my tricks of learning how to host shows on the fly because I'm not classically trained on this. I don't have a ton to add on Rickey Henderson. I just consider him an Inner Circle Hall of Famer. I think if you're building an all-time baseball lineup, there's an argument that that guy should be the first guy to ever come to the plate. And I shared a screenshot with the Talking Baseball group chat with my dad, who said, R.I.P. Rickey. And I was like, I only remember old Rickey. Like, I remember him in a Mets uniform. I remember like vagabond Rickey, hearing the rumors about him, watching him play as a 40-year-old. And he just said, you would have loved Rickey. And I love speed. I love getting on base. I love chaos. And Rickey's like the number one ever at it.
Yes. Sad day for baseball for sure, because he was a guy that transcended like an organization. Like sometimes you have guys that are just like part of this organization and cool, like, but he was respected by just Major League Baseball and by pitchers, hitters, infielders, outfielders. It's like, this is Rickey Henderson. It's almost like the way people talk about Derek Jeter now. It's like Rickey freaking Henderson.
Rickey.
Dude. It's Rickey. Yeah. So I got a few notes about him, a couple stories. Again, one of the more well-respected guys and just an absolute like yard rat. Like he was playing, I saw something on X. He's 46 years old. He was playing independent ball in San Diego. Like, and he hit like, his on base percentage was like 480 or something, which is just awesome. And I respect that. Like, I love that, man. He's a ball player. So I signed to Oakland. I'm trying to revive my career. And, I'm one of the veterans on the team. I'm getting some respect. And usually when you show up, I've told this story maybe before on Talking Baseball, but it bears repeating now. You show up in the Coliseum, and I'm like, okay, well, usually veteran guys have an empty locker, your extra locker. And so I'm like, I have a corner locker, which is nice, but it's up against a wall. And then there's a separate one-off locker kind of next to it. And so I said, hey, like, is this my extra locker? They're like, yeah. And I kind of like noticed some things in there. I'm like, whose stuff is this? He's like, well, it's like technically not only your extra locker. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, we keep that for Rickey. Oh. And I said, Rickey Henderson? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, he comes in here? They're like, yeah, once in a while. I'm like, I'm not putting anything in that freaking locker. I'm sorry. That's not my extra locker. That's Rickey Henderson's locker. Yeah. And throughout the year, quite often, actually, he was there. So me and Rickey were locker mates. And I got to like just sit and talk with him. And honestly, I didn't expect much because I'm like, dude, he doesn't know who the fuck I am. Like, that's okay.
Right.
This is Rickey Henderson. But dude, we talked ball and he was so freaking nice to me, man. And when you share a locker like next to somebody, you kind of get to know them. We're getting naked next to each other. We're boys. Like, like we had insightful conversations. I remember one day coming up, I think I was benched this day or something. Bohm was like, the guys don't want you to play today, whatever. Take a trip upstairs during the game to get something. And Kevin Durant sitting in my locker, my chair. And it's him and Rickey and then somebody else. And they're just like chopping it up. So like, it was really cool to see. I told Katie, get out of my chair. I didn't say that. Just kidding.
Right.
But I bring that story up because it's like he transcends even sports. Like this is Rickey Henderson. I know Katie is a baseball fan, all these things, but like he's that guy. And it was so cool to me that he was nice to me and like didn't have to be, but I felt like he like genuinely just liked to talk about the game. And we did that a lot. So shout out Rickey, man. It's very sad. There were some rumors that he passed and there were some rumors that he didn't. And we got the final word. And legend, man. As you said, I think it's a good point. Inner circle Hall of Famer, because there is such a thing. Like there's Hall of Famers and then there's like the guys. He's one of them.
If you're making the best baseball lineup to ever play, and I know this will get some people hot for no reason, but there's an argument that Rickey Henderson should be the guy. Let's start the game with him. The stolen base king. The on base percentages are crazy. Go look at the roster. The baseball
for 25 years. What are we doing?
He led the league in OPS one year, not our OPSS plus stat that we've invented with steals. He led the league in OPS one year. And Trev, I love what you said that like there's some athletes that they show up at any sporting event and you pay your respects. Yeah. Rickey's one of those guys. Like if Rickey showed up at the sideline of a Raiders game, like you better go pay your respects. That's Rickey Henderson. The fact that it's one name, Rickey, and it was cool to see the stories come out. I know Susan Wallman, the famous Yankees broadcaster, said Rickey Henderson was one of the first guys to make her like feel comfortable in the clubhouse. Like, and that's the power of Rickey. And I think it's funny that there used to be the kids don't know that there used to be some athletes that used to talk in third person, and we were just like, man, that's a lot. Rickey was kind of one of those guys, but he deserved to be. Like, he was Rickey Henderson. And then I think it's also funny, and I don't know if this one's true or if I've just gotten interneted, but they said in Seattle, John Olerud famously wore a helmet while he played first base. And they said, they were talking about that. And Rickey said, oh, I used to have a teammate on the Mets last year who used to do that. And John Olerud said, yeah, that was me.
So, Rickey. It wasn't me.
I think that one was true. And again, I think when you hear the funny stories and the nice stories come out from everyone, it makes the bundle of Rickey Henderson pretty incredible as one of the best. I think, dude, the wars in the hundreds, like
111.1.
Rickey Henderson
reference. Started in 1979, last season in 2003. 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. That's 4 decades he played in. And that's how you transcend sports, is because everybody knows who Rickey is.
God, and just
25-year-olds to 80-year-olds.
Trev, I know, because I still can't fully, and I know there's 22-year-olds listening to us that don't care, but like, picture 22-year-old fast twitch Rickey Henderson in the 70s, early 80s, and then picture early 40s dog Rickey Henderson battling against guys that are now throwing in the midnight. Like, that always blows my mind.
At 39, he led the league in stolen bases with 66.
No.
That'll let you know something. 25 years, over 13,000 plate appearances. This one's going to hit home for you. Let me say that again. 13,000 plate appearances. On base percentage, 401. Let's go.
Whew.
That's a joke.
And by the way, when he was stealing, no bigger bags, no throw over to first rules. Like, I bet our social team could dig up a video of Rickey getting thrown over 10 times. Like, come on. Hey, it's the holiday season. Anything for the people while we wrap it up, Trev? Guys, happy holidays. Corbin Burns?
Not having a great Christmas.
Not yet.
Whatever he celebrates, whatever you want.
Not yet.
How about Hanukkah starting so late this year? What's up with that?
Crazy. Didn't know that was in play.
Yeah. Egyptian Christmas is in January, so whatever.
Hanukkah in January? Like, that's... Yeah, goes to the 2nd. Enjoy it, everyone.
Enjoy.